Russia will not resume its gas supplies to Europe until the West lifts its sanctions against Moscow, the Kremlin said, as concerns over Russian gas supplies continue to drive up energy prices. Speaking to journalists on Monday, Dmitry Peskov, the Kremlin spokesperson, blamed sanctions introduced against our country by Western countries, including Germany and the UK, for Russia's failure to deliver gas through the Nord Stream 1 pipeline. Other reasons that would cause problems with the pumping don't exist, Peskov was cited by the Interfax news agency as saying. Peskov added that Russia's full resumption of gas supplies via Nord Stream 1 was undoubtedly dependent on whether the West would lift its sanctions on Moscow. It is these sanctions imposed by the Western states that have brought the situation to what we see now. Welcome to Savvy Economists. Today we would be looking at the gas war that recently exploded and took a public consensus after an announcement made by the Kremlin. We are eager to see how the West would react to these gas wars and if they would heed the Kremlin's offer. As we go into the video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe and turn on notifications. Peskov's statements on September 5th are the clearest indication yet that Russia intends to force the EU to lift sanctions imposed against Moscow over its invasion of Ukraine in exchange for Russia restarting its gas deliveries. The leading Russian energy supplier Gazprom announced on September 2nd that a suspension of gas supplies heading westwards through the Nord Stream 1 pipeline would be extended indefinitely, citing malfunctions on a turbine along the pipeline. Gazprom has similarly blamed Western sanctions for disrupting gas deliveries, saying the manufacturer Siemens could not perform repairs on the turbines used in Nord Stream 1 because of sanctions against the Russian state energy company. The EU has rejected Gazprom's claims, accusing Putin of weaponizing its gas exports. Nord Stream 1 is the single biggest pipeline for gas from Russia to Europe and has the capacity to deliver 55 billion cubic meters, BCM, of gas a year. Continued supplies through the pipeline are seen as crucial to prevent a deepening of the energy crisis. The energy crisis in Europe, triggered by lower Russian gas flows, is seen as a major test of the bloc's support for Ukraine. After failing to achieve most of its military objectives in Ukraine, analysts believe the Kremlin is hoping record energy prices paired with possible food shortages this winter will push Europe to strong-arm Ukraine into a truce on Moscow's terms. Russian officials have been eager to point to growing anger in the EU over rising prices, with Peskov on Monday saying it was clear that life was getting worse for people, businessmen, and companies in Europe. Of course, ordinary people in these countries will have more and more questions for their leaders, he said. Russia typically supplies about 40% of Europe's natural gas, mostly by pipeline. Deliveries last year were around 155 billion cubic meters, BCM. Via Ukraine the gas goes mainly to Austria, Italy, Slovakia, and other East European states. The Ukrainian transmission system operator has declared force majeure at the Sokranavka entry point pipeline that runs through Russian-occupied territory in the east of the country. Ukraine's state-owned energy company Naftogaz has said it is working to increase natural gas production and could supply gas to European countries in time for next year's heating season. European countries have been seeking to find alternative supply, including some cut off by Russia after rejecting a demand they pay in rubles. Others, including Germany, still need Russian gas and are trying to refill gas storage ahead of winter. Alternative routes to Europe that do not go via Ukraine include the Yamal-Europe pipeline, which crosses Belarus and Poland to Germany. The Yamal-Europe pipeline has a 33 billion cubic meter, BCM, capacity, around a sixth of Russian gas exports to Europe. Flows have been reversed to flow eastward between Poland and Germany since the start of this year. Moscow has placed sanctions on the owner of the Polish part of the Yamal-Europe pipeline. However, Poland can manage without reverse gas flow on the Yamal pipeline, its climate minister has said. On Nord Stream 1, the Kremlin has blamed Western sanctions for a delay in the return of equipment sent for maintenance to Canada. Some countries have alternative supply options and Europe's gas network is linked up so supplies can be shared, although the global gas market was tight even before the Ukraine crisis. Germany, Europe's biggest consumer of Russian gas, which has halted certification of the new Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline from Russia because of the Ukraine war, could import from Britain, Denmark, Norway, and the Netherlands via pipelines. Norway, Europe's second biggest gas supplier behind Russia, has been raising production to help the European Union towards its target of ending reliance on Russian fossil fuels by 2027. Britain's Centrica has signed a deal with Norway's Equinor for extra supply for the next 3 winters. Britain does not rely on Russian gas and can also export to Europe via pipelines. Southern Europe can receive Azeri gas via the Trans-Adriatic Pipeline to Italy and the Trans-Anatolian Natural Gas Pipeline, TANAP, through Turkey. The United States has said it can supply 15 BCM of liquefied natural gas, LNG, to the European Union this year. But U.S. LNG plants are producing at full capacity, and a blast at a major LNG export terminal in Texas will keep it idle until late November. Europe's LNG terminals also have limited capacity for extra imports, although some countries say they are seeking ways to expand imports and storage. Germany is among those who want to build new LNG terminals. It plans to build 5. Poland, which relies on Russia for about 50% of its gas consumption, or around 10 BCM, has said it can source gas via 2 links with Germany. A new pipeline allowing up to 10 BCM of gas per year to flow between Poland and Norway will be opened in October. A new gas link between Poland and Slovakia was also commissioned last week. Spain wants to revive a project to build a 3rd gas connection through the Pyrenees Mountains, but France has said new LNG terminals, which can be made to float, would be a quicker and cheaper option than a new pipeline. Several nations can seek to fill any gap in energy supplies by turning to electricity imports via interconnectors from their neighbors or by boosting power generation from nuclear, renewables, hydropower, or coal. Nuclear availability is falling in Belgium, Britain, France, and Germany, with plants facing outages as they age, are decommissioned, or phased out. Hydro levels have been falling this summer due to low rainfall and a heat wave. Europe has been trying to shift from coal to meet climate targets, but some plants have been switched back on since mid-2021 because of surging gas prices. Energy ministers agreed that all EU countries should voluntarily cut gas use by 15% from August to March, compared with their average annual use during 2017 to 2021, and introduced EU-wide targets for refilling gas storage. Germany has triggered Stage 2 of its 3-stage emergency gas plan and urged businesses and consumers to save gas to avoid forced rationing. The Dutch energy minister has said its Groningen field could be called upon to help neighboring countries in the event of a complete cutoff in Russian supply, but ramping up production would risk causing earthquakes. On the threat to stop delivering oil and gas, Putin said, "Will there be any political decisions that contradict the contracts? Yes, we just won't fulfill them. We will not supply anything at all if it contradicts our interests," he said, according to a Reuters translation of his remarks. "We will not supply gas, oil, coal, heating oil. We will not supply anything." Putin claimed that grain leaving Ukraine was being exported not to poor countries, but instead to the EU. He claimed that only 2 ships out of 87 had gone to developing countries. Data from the UN showed that Putin's claim was false by a factor of at least 10. Nonetheless, Putin said he would consider renegotiating the deal with Erdogan, potentially putting the agreement at risk. "We should probably think about limiting the destinations for grain exports, and I'm going to discuss that with Mr. Erdogan, president of Turkey, because it was he and I who came up with this plan," Putin said. Aside the gas war, it seems Putin still has some cards to play against the West. This is going to have a very big effect on the global economy, and what we may be seeing would be the highest cost of living like ever experienced before. Do you think the West would lift Russia's sanctions in order to allow gas to flow until they can establish a functioning alternative? Let us know what you think in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications.